coming on the air at 11:51 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time with some extraordinary breaking news. An earthquake has just been felt across metropolitan Melbourne. This is on Google. Estimated 4.7 magnitude earthquake felt just minutes ago right across Melbourne, from Port Melbourne to Hawthorn, right across the city. We are based in Melbourne, and we felt that here, and it has just woken up a lot of people. I am personally stunned. If you felt it, let us know. We're in the live chat right now, but this is just extraordinary. Again, an earthquake felt across metropolitan Melbourne, which is just in itself extraordinary. You don't expect this in Melbourne, and I know we said that a lot in 2021 when it happened, but you really don't think this would happen, but it just did happen. It just did happen in Melbourne. An earthquake felt right across metropolitan Melbourne at around 11:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so that's local time here in Victoria. I am, personally, I'm shaking. I'm, if you can imagine, where my bedroom is, I'm in an area where you would feel it heavily, and this is just stunning. Again, an earthquake felt right across metropolitan Melbourne, and right, just woken everyone up. So again, if you felt this, let us know. I think all of Twitter just in Melbourne just tweeted about it at the moment happened, and for good reason too. Just stunning is the word you can use to describe it here. Again, we are on the air with this breaking news here on 6 News. An earthquake felt across metropolitan Melbourne. It can only be described as extraordinary. So again, just let us know. Keep your comments coming in. We've got one. I was cutting off a carrot and almost chopped my arm off. Not a big shake, but definitely a big fright. Yeah, just stunned me. The Vic SES has confirmed. More information coming shortly. They did feel it. They said on Twitter. Again, estimated at 4.7 magnitude, 29 k's from Melbourne. That is just, if you look it up on Google, at 11:41 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, an earthquake hitting Melbourne just a few minutes ago is what we understand here. Let us know where you are if you did feel it, or where you are in Melbourne if you didn't feel it. But still, I think a lot of people have felt that, and it has, well, pardon the pun, but it's shocked everyone, hasn't it? It is just a stunning thing to happen in Melbourne. Again, this is not a place best known for its earthquakes, and it was so extraordinary when it happened in 2021, and for this to happen now has just, well, as I say, it's woken up everyone, hasn't it? But it lasted about, I'd say 3 to 10 seconds at most. Felt like about 5 to me from my nice warm bed where I was. But it has just, again, this just happened a few minutes ago. Obviously, in terms of anything, we don't want to talk about damage yet because we purely don't know. It was certainly minor, and off the top of my head, definitely less than the one we had in, I think, off the top of my head, September 2021. So keep those comments coming in. Where did you feel it, if you did feel it? Anna says Felton St Kilda. Josh says Felton Preston. I'm in Hawthorn, so that checks out. I am stunned by it, and again, this is the breaking news we are following right now at this hour as we get closer to midnight Australian Eastern Standard Time. An earthquake has hit metropolitan Melbourne in the past few minutes, and as I said before, has seemingly woken up everyone if they weren't already up, and will probably keep us up for some time. Another person says Felton Craigieburn. So again, let us know where you are, where you did feel it if you did feel it if you're in Melbourne. We don't have an exact note on where exactly what is. It seems to be all of North Melbourne. Wondering how far south. Again, I'm Hawthorn, so next to Richmond, so still southern metro, I guess, is the technical region we're given. But thank you for tuning in. You can follow along our live coverage on social media at 6newsau. If you appreciate our live coverage, go to patreon.com/6newsau and support us for just $4 a month, because we really do appreciate you all tuning in for this coverage of what is again pretty extraordinary, pretty extraordinary for this to happen in metropolitan Melbourne, and again, never something you really expect. I am just like going through social media right now, and it's just comment after comment about this, and again, you don't expect it. Another person says felt along the Frankston line, felt in Dandenong. 3.8 confirmed to someone else in Sunbury. Another person says they felt it in Ringwood. I thought there was a helicopter landing on my house. It felt like that. Felt Newport was short and sharp. Yeah, that's essentially what it was. 3 to 10 seconds at best, as I say. I'd estimate. I'd estimate a solid 5 seconds. I fell out of bed. Yeah, well, you would wake up to this, wouldn't you? Felt in Craigieburn, just one big shock and lay on bang out of nowhere. I felt this in Frankston, says another person. Exactly. It felt like a helicopter. And I was when the one in 2021 hit, for those who remember, I was in a different spot of the house. I'm not in bed asleep, so it really does wake you, because the other one was like at 8 in the morning or something like that. I was in bed. Well, look, you can buy me a coffee at patreon.com/6newsau if you want. Moorabbin area certainly hit, says Matthew Davis, our fantastic 6 News sports reporter. He's also doing the coverage, I guess, for us. It just I can't believe I felt that, and still it just stunning. For me, we're going to try to bring up some more coverage for you. As you can imagine, we're kind of a bit of lack of resources at this hour. It's midnight in a minute, so just bear with us as we work through our coverage on 6 News late for this. But as you can understand, we're going to bring you the latest developments. The Vic SES, I'm sure we'll be saying more in a second, but they have confirmed, yes, they did feel it, and they've repeated their advice. Are we expecting aftershocks? Officially, no, without adding to crazy speculation. An aftershock would not surprise me. I think there was one off the top of my head on the 2021 one, but look, you'll hear it from me if it happens on air. I'll tell you that, and I will lose my shit if it does. Fish Sticks says felt in the far west of Melbourne, St Albans, felt more powerful. Yeah, again, maybe it's just because we're all dozing off at 11 p.m. at night, but I felt it. All my mates in Roxburgh Park and Broadmeadows messaged me and asked if I felt it. Reporters from 7 News ABC, also 6 News, we were woken up to. We're humans too. We feel these earthquakes. Watching F1 in Moorabbin, Mornington, thought it was a massive gust of wind, shook all the frames on my wall. I think it shook my bed a bit, which was just wild. Again, where did you feel it? If you did, let us know. I thought someone hit my garage door with their car. Well, you would. Again, if you're in Melbourne, that's not. Your mind doesn't automatically go to an earthquake. But yet it has evidently happened. Another person says, yeah, Caroline Springs. So we'll continue this live special coverage for the meantime. By the way, we have just hit midnight, so good morning, everyone. I am Leonardo Puglisi. Thank you again for tuning in to our special earthquake coverage. That has hit Melbourne, which is good morning, everyone. This is not what anyone was expecting, and this is the coverage you'll see on Breakfast TV in about 6 hours. You're watching it live on 6 News now. Appreciate you tuning in, of course, and continue to tune in for this coverage in the meantime. But yeah, we will just continue this. But yeah, I'm shaking. I am physically shaking at this. Now Google reports have got it wrong. It originated in Croydon and was a 2.1 magnitude. See, that sounds right. It was kind of early stages when we got that initial report. Sorry, you'll bear with me. I need to get a lead and plug something in. But yeah, we'll update that graphic in a second. Again, please do bear with us as we try to desperately bring you breaking news with everyone also asleep. That's not the easiest task for us, as you can, I'm sure, appreciate. But we will do our best to bring you the latest live, factual, of course. That goes without saying, doesn't it? And yeah, we will have all those developments covered for you. But in the meantime, we'll just continue this coverage. And we'll try to let you know what exactly is happening. Again, there's still a lot we don't fully know, as you can imagine. It's still very unknown situation as earthquakes tend to be when it originally happens. But alas, we will do our very best to keep you informed with absolutely everything here and everything that matters. Blackburn has also been reported as an area where it may have hit. 3.8 says someone else. 3.6 says someone else, north of Greenvale. But just still extraordinary scenes here. Bear with me here, that it has happened, and just as I say, extremely unexpected, and maybe we will never be prepared for it here in Melbourne. But well, it's happened twice now in less than 2 years, so gee, maybe this will be a regular thing now. Who knows? If you don't like earthquakes, you probably don't want to hear that, do you? But look, we'll keep you up to date on this. Again, just hit at 11:41, and that's the very minimum of what we know at this stage. We do try to bring you more. We are trying to bring you more, as I should say, but bear with us. A few mates in Melbourne West confirmed it. I'm in Greenville, so someone else. Everyone was out on the streets here. Again, let us know where you are, where you felt it, if you did. And I'm sure a lot of people did, of course, feel it. This is around where the epicenter will be. You can see this graphic on our screen now. But again, this earthquake felt right across Melbourne and just woke people up if they weren't up, and is continuing to have people up. And we will continue this coverage for you in the meantime. If there are any aftershocks, you will find out about them. But they are just everyone. Yeah, good morning to everyone. If you're not in Melbourne, by the way, thank you also for tuning in as we try to dissect what exactly has happened here. We will bring you all these details the moment we get them. But again, nothing from the SES yet, bar a brief acknowledgement that it has happened. Be safe, check it. Yeah, that's very good advice. Do check on your pets. I know my cat went crazy just seconds before the earthquake hit. My cat just almost lost it, which I always think is a thing that cats do, and that animals do in general. It's wow. Aftershocks can take place minutes. They're usually minor ones we can't feel. Yep, that's of course very true. I know I did feel one after the 2021 one. But yeah, this is still developing. We're going to wait for that SES statement. But again, they have briefly acknowledged it. They felt it too, as a lot of people. Peter says, friend in Cheltenham felt it. And yeah, same here. Cat went crazy, says Lauren. But yeah, right around northern areas and areas like Broadmeadows, on the Frankston line, and then up also in areas you might consider southern metro, like Hawthorn too, which is where I am, and that is where I definitely felt it. And so we know that. But again, you're seeing that graphic on screen now of where we think it might have roughly hit. That's just kind of an estimate based off these really early reports. It hit around 11:41 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So within just over about 20 minutes ago. It's gone midnight now, and another person says, I felt a really small shake 2 minutes after the first one. Another person, again asks, is it going to hit? Well, I'm not seismologist. I'm no earthquake expert. Let's keep it simple. But aftershocks are not impossible. Strong chance you might not feel it though, especially if you're nowhere near it. Definitely didn't feel it in south coast of New South Wales. So Stephen, good to know. There was no aftershock. Again, there might have been, but at least nothing significant. Nothing compared to what we know has happened here. And yeah, so again, thank you for tuning into this special live coverage. If you want to support us, by the way, go to patreon.com /6newsau and keep us awake. Of course, don't forget to subscribe for free right here on YouTube as well. That one is free. So yeah, we do appreciate your support as we do this coverage. But most of Melbourne's still operating. I can hear trams outside. Another person says felt strongest northwest of Melbourne. And yeah, the Age is now reporting this short, relatively powerful earth tremor with an initial magnitude of 3.8. Is what the Age is reporting. That just came through just barely a few seconds ago, really. And so that's what they've covered here. Most journalists, like me, probably nice and comfortable and in bed before this hit, which is the understandable thing to be doing on a late Sunday night. But again, alas, we have had this happen. So isn't that fun? Isn't that just great? Isn't it? Continuing this live special coverage for you with the latest details on, again, this earthquake tremor that has been felt across Melbourne in the past few minutes. And yeah, this one was just something you really would be very hard to miss. Another person's, yes, magnitude 3.8, depth 3 Ks. I'm worried about the sound of being in 3 earthquakes. Never. Yeah, it was loud. It was very, very loud. Felt in Craigieburn. I felt in Hawthorn, says Full Trick Gaming. Sound was, again, I also thought helicopter. I immediately thought helicopter, but alas, no, it was not a helicopter. It was an earthquake, wasn't it? So yeah, that's something, isn't it? If you were like on it was funny, if you were on Twitter within the seconds after it hit, like it would have gone off. The word earthquake would have just been everywhere, and it happened last time, and evidently it's happened now too. Last time, of course, I'm referring to the 2021 one, which was the previous kind of big one. And even if this wasn't big in terms of how it was felt, this was widely felt. And of course, Melbourne is, not the most known for being earthquake prone. The amount of those who felt it is around 3,000. I'd get to be more than 3,000. Look at the population of Melbourne. It's going to be more than 3,000. Earthquake was trending 5 seconds later. Yeah, that's what happens, doesn't it? And that's just goes to show Well, that's Melbourne Twitter power for you. But I just when you feel it like that, I still just kind of almost didn't believe it. You don't think it's going to be an earthquake. Almost over 12. And those are official reports. Just think of how many people would have felt it, just in general. Another person on Twitter, Dr. Nobody, says Coburg got shaky. Nice little rattle in Diamond Creek too, says another. Others say Pascoe Vale, Brunswick, Altona. There's more. Emerald, Doncaster, Wanturna, Yarraville, Werribee. Someone said I'm visiting from Adelaide. I thought my hotel was about to collapse. Well, yeah. This is just, yeah. That really did wake up everyone, didn't it? Thank you again for tuning in. Again, if you want to support our independent, unbiased journalism, help us pay $4 a month, patreon.com/sixnewsau, as we approach 12 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, as we continue our live special coverage for you on this extraordinary scenes here that have just played out in the past few minutes. Again, if you're just joining us and you've missed the thumbnail and the graphics on screen, an earthquake felt across Melbourne at around 11:41 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's local time, and really just shaking much of Melbourne, outer Melbourne as well. Northwest is an area that's been particularly reported, but again that goes out to more southern metro areas like Hawthorn, no reports of damage. That's always good. And then another message says there are starting to show calls for building damage. Okay, so let's just be. So there might be damage. We hope it's obviously nothing too severe. We know the 2021 one was there was a building hit, but of course no one died. No serious injuries. Someone else, Werribee. It's definitely been felt. In Werribee. It's one of those things you don't expect to hear or feel or experience in Melbourne, and it does really shake you. Landslide reported on the Vic Emergency app in Roxburgh Park. Okay, so we are starting to get these reports of damage. They are starting to come in to us. If you've got any other tips, let us know. Can you describe what it felt like to us? It felt like it was a helicopter landing on my roof, and it was just shaking about 5 seconds, and then it stopped, and I was frozen the entire time. And then I just realised, earthquake. It was just, you almost don't know how to describe it, do you? This is again, something other people would have experienced in other countries. 25 seconds is another. No, I felt more like 5 seconds. 5. Some have said 3 to 10. I'd estimate about. At least I felt it for 5 seconds. It was kind of no warning. Again, apparently though my cat was going crazy downstairs. Another person, Damien, in the live chat says, very loud house shaking in Croydon, but have confirmed reports of it being felt in Hillsville, Patterson Lakes, Don Vale, Doncaster, and much more. Things went a bit wobbly. That's probably a good way to say it. Yeah. It is oddly cool. Yeah, it almost is in a way, and we hope, obviously, we're following these reports of apparent damage potentially caused, but yeah, it is a unique experience, isn't it? 3.8 magnitude earthquake in Sunbury is what is being reported by the ABC at this hour. 3.8 magnitude. The cat's fine. The cat's fine. Ebony is fine. For those asking, Thank you again for tuning in. Keep tuning in. Where did you feel it, if you did feel it? And yeah, just let us know in that regard. You can go experience a simulator. Well, how about that? How about that earthquake felt in Melbourne? That has well and truly stunned me for the night. Just completely stunned me, and I am just completely shocked that it did happen. We don't have any press conference. I'm the only person who can really cover this right now. Thank you, asleep Melbourne newsroom. But yeah, so we'll continue with these developments. I'm trying to be as discreet as possible because, as you know, this is a 6 News home studio. But again, felt in Sunbury is where it's being reported now. 3.8 magnitude. So yeah. The SES, again, all they've said of this is, of course, they've confirmed they felt it. I'm sure they'll bring us some updates soon as we kind of unravel what's happened here. But yeah, it's just another person on Twitter says initial reports the earthquake was in Oakley Junction between Sunbury and Mickleham. Blah 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 blah. Reports as far as Bendigo and Morwell it was felt. So there you go. It's definitely affected the regions, according to some of these early reports. But again, still just you feel it. You feel it, and that's kind of the reason. It's just not something you do expect, as you say, and really just shocking us again. Let us know where you did feel it from, if you did feel it. Another person says aftershocks are uncommon. Yeah, that's granted, and let alone it would be very minor, I imagine. Another person said, I thought my window was going to break, but then I realised it was the earthquake. What was the weather like? It was raining earlier today. It's been fine, I guess. There's been worse weather, hasn't there? This is not. Can you have earthquake weather? Is that a thing? Well, I wouldn't call this. I wouldn't call this earthquake weather in that event. I truly wouldn't. But as I say, regardless, it is just a shock, and probably a shock to a lot of people. Again, purely for the we don't have earthquakes here often reason. So which I'd argue is a understandable reason to just be a little shocked by what's happened here. So yeah, but how about that? Again, if you are just joining us, an earthquake felt right across Melbourne within the past few minutes, and it is definitely, quite literally, shaken up the entire city, or woken up the entire city. Doesn't happen often, as someone else has just accurately pointed out, and again, let alone something significant, and also something in metro areas. It is truly a unique thing to happen here, and not something anyone was I don't think predicting. Maybe there was like one scientific expert who thought it was coming, but probably not. But yeah, in the meantime, we will continue this coverage. Someone else has said 4.7. Yeah, no, 3.8. 3.8 is what we understand. 2 landslides in Craigieburn, 2 building damages in northern Melbourne suburbs reported on the Vic Emergency app so far. Did it feel stronger than the 2021 one? Well, depending on where you are. For me, kind of, yes. but I believe the magnitude is less. What we understand, I'm speaking to our reporter, Lincoln Holmes, landslide, Mickleham landslide, Roxburgh Park building damage, and building damage in Ascot Vale. So those are some of the early reports that we are getting in about what exactly has gone on here, and we are still understandably learning more about what exactly has gone on, and we will continue to learn more, because this is just a very, very rare event. But yeah, so thank you again for tuning in to our special coverage. We've got more details in the morning. Follow us on social media for the latest developments on what exactly is going on here. And we will continue this again. 3.8, probably considered minor officially. Still, when you're not used to earthquakes, feels just a bit more than that, doesn't it? But again, stay with us here on 6 News. We've got special coverage of what is going on right now, and we will bring you those details in the coming minutes. In the meantime, let's go to the latest news headlines that we have been bringing you all day. Thank you for tuning into this special coverage. And as I say, we will continue to bring you a lot more details right throughout the morning. You're watching 6 News Live. Stay tuned for the latest developments. Stay with us. Good evening, these are the top stories making news right now. Lydia Thorpe to lodge a human rights complaint against the Greens over alleged racist treatment, as she also says she won't lead a progressive no campaign against the voice to Parliament. Central Victoria's footy community in mourning after the death of a teenage boy, with the club today opening its doors as a safe space for those affected. New footage released of the building destroyed in that massive Sydney fire, with a third boy now coming forward to police. And Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis set to go head-to-head in the race for Republican US presidential nomination after the Florida governor's launch was hampered by technical issues. We begin this hour out of Canberra with Independent Senator Lydia Thorpe revealing she will lodge a human rights complaint against her old party over alleged racist treatment when she was a member. Thorpe quit the Greens earlier this year to lead the Black Sovereignty movement. She has said that she received legal advice. She does have enough grounds for a case, but would leave it to lawyers for further comment. Back in March, the Victorian Senator also claimed she was bullied by members of the Greens. Today, she said she won't lead a progressive no campaign against the Indigenous voice to Parliament, denying she is in the no camp at all. National reporter Austin Pollock has the latest.
Thorpe has denied she will lead a progressive no campaign, but continues to weigh up her options and push the government on issues like treaty. She's also questioning whether the voice would actually help First Nations people.
I'm not in the no camp. I've never been in the no camp, and my position has been clear all along, and that is that we need a treaty in this country. I'm considering to abstain from the up-and-coming vote, given our people want a treaty.
Now, newly published analysis reported in 9 newspapers has also shown that most active Twitter accounts opposing the voice are people using false identities rather than computerised bots. Queensland University of Technology senior lecturer Dr. Timothy Graham said there was, quote, little evidence that either sides are deploying bots and no evidence that there are any difference in the number of bot-like accounts on both sides. ASIO has also said there are no indication of attempts by foreign actors to interfere in the referendum. However, they are preparing for some possible spontaneous violence around the referendum. It also comes as the Victorian Nationals join their federal counterpart in opposing the voice. Now, at this stage, a date for the referendum has still not been announced.
2 men, both Greek nationals, have been charged by police after 120 kilograms of cocaine was seized by authorities. The drugs was allegedly kept within the walls of a shipping container at Port Botany in Sydney. A 27-year-old was arrested at the scene and a 19-year-old since arrested in Leichhardt. Both refused bail and are due in court on June 13 and July 20 respectively. Police are set to allege the men travelled from Athens to retrieve the cocaine for an organised crime syndicate here in Australia. There are new details tonight about a horror crash that has left a close-knit community in shock. 4 teenagers, 2 males and 2 females, died at the scene in a single vehicle crash, while a fifth was flown to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The crash happened at Bocara, outside Hamilton, in regional Victoria. It's been reported the teenagers in the car were locals. A passerby found the wreckage yesterday morning before local police arrived. Central Victoria's footy community is in mourning after the death of a teenage boy. The club has today opened its doors as a safe space for those affected. Reporter Lincoln Holmes has more.
Central Victoria's footy community in mourning after the death of a teenage boy during a game. Emergency services were called to report of an unresponsive 17-year-old boy on a football field yesterday afternoon. He was taken to hospital, where he later died. Police say his death is not being treated as suspicious. It's understood the boy was an under-18s player for the Castlemaine Football Club, competing in the Bendigo Football Netball League. In a statement, they said that the club's and the league's priority is providing support for the family, friends, teammates and coaches of the player. The club and league will continue to work together closely and kindly request that privacy be respected during this incredibly difficult time. Castlemaine's social rooms were open from midday today as a safe space. Greater Bendigo Liberal Councillor Matthew Evans says what has happened is incredibly saddening and devastating, adding my sincerest of condolences and prayers to the family and the entire Castlemaine Football Netball Club. Lincoln Holmes, 6 News.
New drone footage has been released of the building that was destroyed by a fire in Surrey Hills, Sydney. An exclusion zone has been set up and will remain as the clean-up from damage caused by falling walls continues. The building was heritage listed and formerly operated as a factory. A third boy, 12 years old, has come forward and is understood to be assisting police now, following 2 teenage boys also handing themselves into separate police stations. No charges have been laid, with authorities also working to make sure all 15 people reported to have been sleeping rough inside the building the night before are accounted for. The Queensland Government will launch a new life-saving program aimed at teaching kids how to swim. $4.8 million will be allocated in the upcoming state budget over a 2-year period for a new Swim Start program. Over 30,000 vouchers valued up to $150 will be available for eligible children aged up to 4 years. The aim of the program is to improve water safety for kids. Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk says the initiative will give kids the best start at learning to swim and build on the swimming program already offered in schools statewide. US President Joe Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy have reached an agreement in principle aiming to resolve a debt crisis and cut back on federal spending. On Twitter, Biden described it as an important step forward that reduces spending while protecting critical programs for working people and growing the economy for everyone. He added that this agreement is good news for the American people because it prevents what could have been a catastrophic default and would have led on to an economic recession, retirement accounts devastated, and millions of jobs lost. The US Treasury had already warned that it would run out of money to pay all its bills within weeks if there was not a resolution. It comes as the race for president in 2024 continues, with Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis going head-to-head in the bid for Republican Party nomination. Our North American correspondent Wyatt Sharp has the details.
Everyone seemed to be making light of this moment. Everyone seemed to be enjoying this moment. That is, unless you are on Team DeSantis. A lot of political consultants for Team Ron DeSantis are probably reconsidering a lot of their decisions as to what they went with. They decided to do a Twitter Spaces, which is essentially just a modern day version of, in the 1900s, what AM radio was. It really isn't too far advanced. So you have a lot of people criticizing it for that reason, criticizing the fact that the DeSantis campaign, someone said that I was talking with earlier, that it looks really bad on the DeSantis campaign, that they can't even get something like AM radio to work, for example. You also have, it's not just Donald Trump making light of the situation. You have some of the other GOP competitors. Asa Hutchinson did something similar on Twitter. President Joe Biden put out a tweet saying this link works, and it was a link to the Democratic Party's campaign fundraising link in order to raise funds for their campaign in 2024. So certainly everyone, unless you are on Team DeSantis, on Team Ron DeSantis, is making light of the situation. People at Twitter, for example, because this is obviously an embarrassing moment for them also. I mean, in retrospect, yes, they are saying they broke the internet. They're saying they had this massive turnout, but really it was only a couple 100,000 people, which is a relatively good number, but it really shouldn't be something that, breaks the internet. Within several hours on some online social channels, on YouTube, etc., there can be videos that gain millions, if not tens of millions of hits. So, getting 300,000 views, for example, on a presidential campaign launch really isn't too significant. In addition to that, it makes it really difficult for media to cover an event when it is something on Twitter Spaces, because you can't just broadcast a Twitter space on, say, one of the major broadcasting networks in the same way that you can broadcast a standard traditional presidential campaign announcement, the likes of which all of the other candidates in the race, like Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Asa Hutchinson, like all of them have done at this point in time. At this point in time, it seems like the perhaps more interesting race than the presidency is who can be Donald Trump's vice presidential nominee. A lot of people I speak with say that they're actually looking at a lot of the candidates in this race as potential vice presidential nominees for the Republican Party in 2024. That a lot of the reason why a lot of the major candidates in this race have been critical of or I guess you could say less critical, hesitant to come out and be critical of Donald Trump in this race is because they want to be his vice presidential nominee in 2024. That is very similar to Tim Scott. Even Donald Trump, for example, gave some friendly words of good luck to Senator Tim Scott, the South Carolina senator, when he announced that he was going to be running for president. Donald Trump put out a press release, his campaign hid wishing Tim Scott well, saying that they worked together well on opportunity zones, and that during his time as a United States Senator with Tim Scott, that Tim Scott worked extremely well, and really praising him with good luck. That's really the opposite of what we've seen with someone like Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, who just announced for months in the lead up to this announcement that just took place last week. You saw Donald Trump's campaign team funding millions of dollars going after Ron DeSantis. Why? It's likely because we know that he is the biggest threat at this point in time as to, how big of a rival they are to each other. Ron DeSantis is undoubtedly Donald Trump's biggest rival for the Republican nomination in 2024, and it goes both ways. If Ron DeSantis wants to win the presidency in 2024, he's going to have to defeat Donald Trump as well. The interesting component of things at this point in time, everyone seems to still be supporting Donald Trump, who you can expect to be supporting him. Those who, you could tell right from the get-go are really intense political allies of the former president. I'm thinking the Rudy Giulianis of the world, and, perhaps some of the newer names to people, the ones who aren't as well known, people like Carrie Lake, who ran for Arizona governor in the 2022 midterms. A lot of people were floating her as a potential vice presidential nominee for Donald Trump as well. They are all remaining very close to the former president because it's essentially, in essence, the fact that Donald Trump is kind of the unofficial leader of the Republican Party at this point in time. If you're, not going against, if you are going against Donald Trump, many people that I've been speaking with over the past little while said that they're frustrated that over the fact that if you don't align with someone like Donald Trump in today's Republican Party, that kind of automatically illustrates you as a moderate. And we've seen that with people like Asa Hutchinson, but we've seen that with people outside of the presidential race as well, with former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, former Congressman Adam Kinzinger, and lots of folks within the Republican Party, even some of those who have come out and endorsed Ron DeSantis. Some of them have been condemned by some of their political allies, even within the same party, because they are supporting Ron DeSantis. So there's a lot of back and forth on this. A lot of people that I speak with say it's going to be a divisive primary, given the fact that whoever wins is going to go up against President Biden. And a lot of the polls show that President Biden's popularity level at this point in time is extremely low. So that creates a very big opening for the Republican Party, and whether or not the Republicans want to go with someone like Donald Trump, who did lose in the 2020 campaign, remind you, a lot of people still feel that he is their best chance at surging back to power. After all, he does most definitely have the highest amount of name recognition out of any of the candidates currently in the field. Or the other alternative, kind of in that debate there, do they want to go for someone who is more experienced in the political aspect of things, but not as well known and perhaps not as great a chance, at least the polls suggest, at winning in 2024?
An engineer and computer programmer has created an app for those who can't speak due to a medical emergency as a result of his own stroke last year. Dr. Matthew Berryman is now launching the Talk For Me app. He spoke to 6 News about his experience.
So last year I had a hemorrhagic stroke, which was basically a bleed to the brain. And it was the left front side of my brain, so that meant I was totally paralyzed on the right side of my body. I'm bearing in mind I'm right-handed, so that left me with the left hand to communicate with. And I couldn't talk for a period of 3 weeks, and then slowly regained the ability to talk after that. So I spent 3 weeks in bed in hospital, unable to talk. And all I had to communicate was slowly typing left-handed on my devices, and a couple of sheets of paper with various images on them where I could point to the images to communicate, like I'm feeling sick or I want food. And that was very limiting. And I thought, because there wasn't anything relevant to, it wasn't much relevant to my situation. Like I wanted to tell people to turn on the TV, and there wasn't a TV on the piece of paper. So I thought there has to be a better way. So now that I've recovered, I've developed an app for communicating. It features image recognition. So you select an image, it has image recognition, so it suggests text. You can always edit it, so sometimes the image recognition doesn't work, or it comes up with the wrong thing. So you can edit it, the text, and make it more descriptive. And then it features text-to-speech output, so that you can not just point to the images, but you can have the device read it out aloud. As you can see, some items, and you can add items by pressing on the plus icon and selecting a photo. And it's come up as Egyptian cat. And if you just want to say cat, you can just delete like so. And you can delete items and change the order of them like so.
That's fantastic. So,
So,
you can really put in
Yeah.
really what's relevant to you.
Yeah.
That looks an awful lot like my cat.
That was your cat.
I thought so. I thought, where did I send that picture before? All right, let's now check in with Ivan and Melly with what's making news right now on WAMN News.
Thanks, Leo. Tonight on WAMN News, is voting no racist? Why prominent First Nations leaders switched from the no to yes camp. An exclusive interview coming up.
Firefighters ramp up their battle for better pay as the nursing union faces a record fine over last year's strike.
15-year-old alleged school shooter faces multiple charges, prompting further push on firearm legislation.
Suresh Rajan weighs in on the Indian Prime Minister's trip to Australia and later Dr. Andrew Miller's comment. Join us tonight on the WMN News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
All right, a reminder of the top stories we are following on 6 News this hour. An independent Senator Lydia Thorpe has revealed she will lodge a human rights complaint against the Greens over alleged racist treatment when she was a member. She has also said she won't lead a progressive no campaign against the Indigenous voice, denying she's in the no camp at all. And Central Victoria's footy community is in mourning after the death of a teenage boy during a game. The club has today opened its doors as a safe space for those affected. And that is 6 News for this hour. There is more news 24/7 on our website, sixnewsau.com, and on social media Just search 6newsau to find us. More news coverage continues right after this. For now though, I'm Leonardo Puglisi. Thanks for your company. Good night.